Welcome to Pirates in the Hall. Pirates remember 9/11. We are concerned with false information you get online. There is a film out there with pseudoscience claiming our government perpetrated 9/11. Do not believe it.
My name is Mike Farrell. On 9/11, I was a firefighter paramedic in Darien. When the towers were hit, we were out on a call. It was a stunned silence for everyone. Didn't know what to really do. But then when we got back to the station, we all started to prepare for what could have been other attacks throughout the country. We were told immediately that it was a terrorist attack and that we should be ready for Chicago to be hit. After about 12 hours, we realized that there was going to be no more attacks, and then it was a scramble mode to get all the urban rescue teams to destinations that they thought they were going to need. In this case, it was New York City. After about 14 days, we finally got the clearance to go to New York. And on the trip, we had to drive because no airplanes were allowed to fly for the first 10 days, I believe it was. And then we got all of our gear to New York. I had a search and rescue dog named Cooper. We were brought up onto the pile, and for about 15 days we searched that pile for victims. One of the things that people don't know about 9/11 is after a body was found, the FBI would get called. We were not allowed to move that body. We were not allowed to touch that body. The FBI would come in, they would take pictures, they would take samples, they would do what they had to do to conduct their investigation. And then the body would get covered with an American flag. And then we would take it off.
Hi, this is Mrs. Luzader from the Math Department. In 2001, on September 11th, I was here at Palatine High School. I actually heard in the hallways that a plane had hit the World Trade Center, and all I knew is that my stepbrother worked at the World Trade Center. For about 5 hours, we had no idea where he was. We couldn't even dial long distance from the math office, so Kathy Posey, Mrs. Hare's mother, brought me down to her office to call my dad in New Jersey, and nobody knew anything. That evening, much to our relief, we got the call that he was okay. But he saw the second plane hit the tower. He immediately went into action. He was part of the Secret Service. And so they got him on a rescue boat to New Jersey. The following weeks, he had to go do recovery. So he had to go to the site for weeks and weeks. He found wedding rings. It was terrible. He was honored at the White House. He got out of the Secret Service. He's very much doing well these days, but we're all just very thankful that our story didn't have a different end.
All right, good. What's your name?
Mrs. B.
What was your experience with 9/11?
Well, personally, I was at Conant. I was at a meeting, and at that time, we ran the news in the media centers. Mm-hmm. So we actually were in the media center. There were students there, teachers, and then other librarians from the district, and we saw the whole thing. It was horrible. The principal at the time got on the announcement and told the students what he knew, which of course at that time nobody really knew anything. Mm-hmm. It was very somber, very quiet for a very, very long time. In the library, we saw after that time and during that time an increased interest in the news. Students couldn't read the newspaper enough, watch the news, read magazines. That's kind of diminished again, but it really made people think.
What is your name?
My name is Allison West.
And what do you remember about 9/11?
9/11, I was 4 months pregnant here at school. Right before school started, my mom called to say, in hysterics, saying something's happened. So a bunch of teachers, we ran down to the teacher's lounge and had the television on, and we watched the second plane kind of hit, like the video of the set. And all I kept thinking was, being so naive at the time as an adult, was the air traffic controller system was malfunctioning and sending all these planes in the wrong direction. That's all we could think of what happened because we were so naive. So being around next to O'Hare, it was pretty quiet in the air, and even driving into school, there was nothing. And like the next day was like a really good call to action. Like everybody wanted to do something but didn't know what to do. So just to kind of have people participate, we'd have, they were making red, white, and blue bracelets. I still have it, a yarn bracelet. The kids were raising money and selling those. And then somebody, I think our family consumer science department chair, came up with the idea of making a flag. So just...
All right. What is your name?
Susan Duma.
And what do you remember about 9/11?
That it was devastating. We were in the cafeteria when we saw it hit. Couldn't believe it. It's just awful.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Berleman.
Where were you when 9/11 happened?
I was in college at Lewis University in Romeoville. I had just come back from morning swim practice, and my roommate had it on the TV. And I distinctly remember my teacher, everybody's classes were canceling, and my teacher said, I am not canceling class because that's what the terrorists want. They want to ruin our daily schedule and lives, so we have to push forward. And so that kind of stuck with me. Like, if something big happens like that, if we let it get to us and stop us from what we're doing, then we're actually feeding into what they wanted to begin with.
Be sure to ask the question, what do you remember about 9/11? Hopefully your lifetime will experience more peace.